swing it, boys, swing for the fence. Shove it, boys, make 'em miss. Some big league chew and a baseball souvenir. Come on, sing with me now. The Joe is home, sweet home. It's roll, tide, roll. The Joe is home, that's right. Home, sweet home. Hey, look, is that Roll Tide Willie over there? Blitz, Bama, Blitz.
Hey, welcome everyone. It's the Weekly Joe Podcast. We are in postseason mode. It's time for the Tuscaloosa Regional. We'll have everything you want to know about the Tuscaloosa Regional, everything you want to know about the regionals around the country here tonight on the Weekly Joe. This is our 18th episode of the year, season 3.
Wow.
Getting way on up there. We've done a lot of discussion of the Alabama baseball program here on the Weekly Joe, the longest running and best podcast dedicated to Alabama baseball out there. And that's undeniable. I've got with me tonight Roger Myers, coming to us from Tuscaloosa, the familiar background. Meghan Dennis, who's in the great state of Alabama, home sweet home, kissed the ground when she got here. Griffin Smith, coming to us, still from Texas? Still in Texas?
A month from today. We'll be heading north. But
sweet home Chicago. He's going to be moving in a old police car like Jake and Elwood, heading up to Chicago. And then, of course, Drew Champlin coming to us from up the road in Hoover on the way to Tuscaloosa, where we will all be on Friday as the Tide gets ready to go on the regionals. Folks, it's that time of year, and you know we've been waiting on this for a while. Did you have any little apprehension, Drew, going into the selections the other day? Just that dread of, oh my God, we're going to get a 9 or we're going to get a 10. I mean, we knew we were going to host.
No, not really. I think we were probably a 6 going into the SEC tournament, maybe by most people, and we ended up as a 7. So that really kind of shows, and especially like in Arkansas's case, the SEC tournament doesn't mean a whole lot. So
nothing.
We're not. I did not sit at the Hoover Met for 3-ish hours on Thursday. Didn't watch any. Don't know what happened there because it doesn't really matter. We're still a national seed, just looking forward to some regional baseball in Tuscaloosa this weekend, and hopefully another weekend in Tuscaloosa next weekend. And it's just crazy to think that this team, as many flaws as we have talked about, how they have found ways to win enough games to be not only a regional host but a national seed. So here we are.
Seed. Yep. 5 games away, Roger. If you got a 5-game heater right now, you're going to Omaha in a couple of weeks. What do you think of that?
And all 5 at home. So
yeah, exactly. Where we've been pretty damn good.
Yes. What, 29-6 or whatever.
6, yep.
21 and something like that. We only had 29 games. So
feel about right. Top 7.
Yes, I guess strictly by RPI and wins in the conference, and not from eye test or from Stat Bros information. You do feel for a team like Arkansas not hosting after particularly the way they finished the season. They're a pretty strong team. But it does kind of seem like they got locked in on who. Like these are the teams, nothing.
Right.
They're so sold on Southern Miss. They're so sold on Auburn being a top 3 or 4 seed.
Carolina. A lot of the.
It was just there wasn't going to be a whole lot of movement, and fortunately, we held that spot. Unlike they didn't treat us like they did in 2023, and
slide us way down.
And so considering the resume, yes, it's about the right spot, I would say.
Yeah,
despite what the rest of the country thinks.
Yeah, that's right. We'll talk a little bit about 23 later on. Does it feel like 23 teams? Does it feel give me some. How does it feel different from them?
I would say from starting pitching. I mean, you look at the 23. We had some pretty good guys on the mound, and consistency from the pitching staff is what led us to this point, and hopefully we get a super next weekend. But I know we talked about it kind of in the green room. It's, we'd love to have more home games, and, kind of structure of the schedule we may have some gripes with. But, I mean, the resume speaks for itself. 31 wins, and they reference it on the show Sunday when they were doing the reveal. The chairman or whatever, he was like, we looked into RPI and DSR and all the sort of nerd metrics of it, and we didn't, like Drew said, something happened Thursday. No one really remembers, but we swept Auburn, we swept Florida. Winning 8 of the last 9 or 9 of the last 10. Resume speaks for itself. So it definitely feels good to be hosting for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Meghan, I mean, this, again, like he said, you got to sweep over the 4 seed. You got to sweep over the 8 seed. You won one on the home field of the 6 seed on the Sunday. You shut them. They really shut them out, or we got 1 run. You belong here. I mean, there have been times we probably hadn't treated this team like it belongs, and because we're a little overly critical with the eye test, and there've been some real dogs of games here. But they're here, and I mean, your thoughts on where's the ceiling the next 2 weeks?
Well, I think I will go back to something Drew said a while back of like we are always going to be hypercritical because we are watching more of this team than probably anybody else is. And that's why we're here talking about them. But I think, as far as the ceiling, I mean, it is fair to say, and I think expect like it is Omaha or bust, but I think it's also, yes, we've played these teams and it's a cliche in of itself, but we got to flush that. Like regular season's done and gone. It's now what's showing up come Friday night, what should come in the rest of this weekend to lay what is that road to Omaha.
Yeah. Yeah. Roger, biggest concern going into this weekend with this team?
If we get into a high scoring match, trying to get into a high scoring game with some of these teams, well, like Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma State, yeah, right.
Have better offensive numbers than we do. Of course, they did not play in SEC, but 26 of our games weren't in SEC either. So that's probably the biggest concern. And another thing is sort of weather related. It's like sending a starter out there and he gets 2 innings in, and then we have a 2-hour.
And then you're burned, right? Yeah, yeah.
Yes, what the staff is going to decide to do with the rotation.
Yes.
I'm sure we'll get into that later.
Yeah. Concern, Drew? Your big concern with this team?
Probably the same. I mean, it's like we got Alabama State on Friday, and then you got Oklahoma State's playing USC Upstate in the first game. And I don't think USC Upstate, I mean, they're regarded as the weakest 3 seed. So you really, with Oklahoma State, they're probably in the same situation thinking they can throw whoever they want against Upstate and win that. So, it's, I think, like Roger said, it's probably it. If you get down 5-0 or 6-0 to Oklahoma State in game 2, what do you do after that? Or how do you, it's almost like, what do you do with your pitching staff? Do you throw JT Blackwood against Alabama State? Because good and well we could win that game with him. But it screws up what we've done, or goes against what we've done all season. So, it's going to be interesting. I think what Roger said on both fronts with the Oklahoma State's offense and then the weather situation are my biggest concerns.
Don't forget the Alabama State game in Tuscaloosa with their midweek practice.
2-1, yeah.
Well, if we lose that game, we don't deserve to win a regional. So
we won 2-1 on an error and a pass ball.
The pass ball, yeah. It was not a stellar offensive performance. That was
Ron single stole second, and then they tried to pick him off and threw it in the center field, and he scored. And Eric, I think that might have been Eric's first start, and he scored on a pass ball.
Yeah, it's something. Yeah.
Hopefully,
game 5, I believe.
Hopefully we can dodge some weather, and I from my perspective, I think Rob wants to get a win so badly. I mean, just to get that monkey off his back, and it's Alabama State, but it doesn't matter. You got to win at home. So I'm hoping that, we'll talk about the rotation and kind of expectation.
Yeah.
That's just my thought is that, weather be damned, we need to win this first game. I mean, the percentage of winning the first game to then go on to win the regional is skewed very highly to that, first team winning. So don't want to take the long route.
Meghan, any concern that this team we won't talk about that game last week much, but it was it was a real dog. I mean, we've had some dogs. That was a real dog of a game. There wasn't a hell of a lot to play for. I mean, I think the kind of the hay was in the barn on the Alabama season at that point. We could have grinded it out and tried to, Georgia was going to win that tournament. Any concern that showed up last week, or is it just kind of a, hey, good, we get to go home and rest a few more days?
I think it is kind of the tale of this season of like we seem to have that, and then what we've seen is this team bounce back really quickly every single time that has happened. So maybe it's the case of like, okay, we got the ugly loss out of the way, so now we're set up well for this weekend to go get the job done.
Yeah, yeah. The thing to me, I think, is encouraging, I guess. This team has not hit SEC pitching well. You ain't going to see any SEC pitching, now for the next, couple weekends, right? I guess there's we're paired with Tallahassee. There's no SEC team over there. You're not going to see. I mean, you could see SEC quality pitching from a Florida State or a Coastal. You might get a little of it from an Oklahoma State from a couple of those guys. But from an offensive standpoint, throw out everything you know and hate about Alabama baseball, because you're kind of playing an in-between game of what you've looked like maybe in the midweek type games or the early season non-conference and an SEC team, because you're just not going to face those guns here the next few days. So that's encouraging from an offensive standpoint, and you're still throwing the same guys from an offense defense pitching standpoint that shut down SEC hitters in a number of occasions. So that to me is probably an overriding factor and why I feel a little bit encouraged about this. These are some pretty good hitting teams. I mean, Upstate you mentioned, fairly weak, weak conference, 33-28 overall, 13-11 in their conference. They went 11-23 on the road. So I mean, they've just been dog awful away from home. But they're 6-1 in neutral site. So this is a neutral site for them, and maybe you keep that as an encouragement that they can maybe up in OSU. They're 291 hitting team that hit 70 home runs, 589 ERA. They're about double strikeouts to walks. Oklahoma State's the one that's kind of the offensive juggernaut, kind of the outlier in this group, honestly. They hit 280 in their conference and overall. Recall we're maybe 240-ish.
Oh yeah, 252 overall, and not too much different, 240 or so.
Right. And again, you got to your mindset of what we look like in the Big 12. 6.24 team ERA. Obviously, we're a lot better than that. Their opponents were 8.37 though. So again, that just shows you they're piling up runs. They hit 137 home runs, and so I think we need to keep that in the back of your mind as we hit the pitching discussion here in a minute. As you start getting, because again, I think the staff's going to have to gear up. The coaching staff, they could think about that Alabama State game and they can coach speak it and whatever they want to say. It's the next one, you got to win it. I feel that way too, but I think you really got to play for the long game. And what happens if you get into a 4 or 5 game weekend? God forbid you lose that second one, or you lose, you get it. Not that you would probably lose this other one in setting your pitching staff. And so that's the concern to me is the pitching depth not being what it is. And if you get into that situation, knowing what we've seen of late. So all that said, that's who we're up against. I won't go through Alabama State. We've seen them twice. They were awful the second night we saw them. They played pretty good, pitched pretty well against us. It was a clean game the first night. They walked like 16 of us that game down in Montgomery, Roger. I mean, it was just
I think 15 walks and 4 hit. And we stole 9 bases and
right.
LeBron hit a home run. I think it was only long ball. It was
pretty much it.
It was walks hit by pitches. Like their coach was.
Yeah,
he was showing umpire up so bad.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was a 4-hour game after a 2-hour trip. I mean, it was,
a bad broadcast. So at least you get to see it this time. All that said, I won't go into them too much because we've seen them and we kind of know what we're getting into. They're forward. They've been on a nice little heater lately. But Drew, talk me out of why we shouldn't throw one of our midweek guys this week? Why should again? We hadn't seen JT Blackwood since May, I think, 5th or 6th. So you throw this. I don't know if he's had a little. Did Roger Mike's kind of going out a little bit on this or something? Yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's better. Yeah. You were saying something.
I was been thinking, all along since that last midweek that okay, he's going to pitch an inning or 2 innings this week, or
right.
Or 4 if he can go through 4 innings, but he hasn't been used, and I haven't heard any rumbling about him being injured. I don't know.
Yeah.
You don't see what the pitchers are all doing. He was participating in PFP and stuff like that, so I don't know of any kind of injury or anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't. Is he still talking?
Yeah. Yeah, his mic's going. Yeah. Yeah. Your mic's going out or something on this, Roger, when you talk. So, let me go, Drew, real quick, and then
I would lean if we had seen JT go longer in a lot of these games or given him the opportunity doing these midweeks, I'd be more comfortable with it. I think probably the more comfortable I don't know. The more I think about it, the more comfortable I think we're going to be at Oklahoma State. Even though I've been still kind of worried about it, I think it's probably good to just get Faye out there on Friday. But you need to get eight innings out of him, I think, and then we really need to hit the ball. I don't think any of our key, you need to get like 8 out of Faye and then 1 out of like Tate Robertson or something like that. We really can't afford to. We can't afford to have this be a 6-5 game or something like that.
No.
And
spin the bullpen.
So that's kind of where I lean right now.
All right, Griff, your thoughts on it? Because I'll give mine in a minute.
Yeah, that's kind of where my head was at. We need to win this first game, get Rob a regional win. Last year did not go as planned. So I think setting the tempo and to Drew's point, going long for Tyler, if we want to keep that same sort of Friday Saturday rotation with the hopes of obviously the next weekend. I wouldn't be opposed to seeing younger guys get in there, but maybe it's a situation if the bats come alive and we're just knocking it all over the park, then sure we can take them out, and in case of emergency we could use them again. But I don't envision us needing to do that. I think that the bats will do their thing against Alabama State, and we can put it to bed.
And pile them up. Yeah. Meghan, your thought? I mean, it's there's probably no right answer here, but we've seen the way this coaching staff handles the day-to-day lineup, and they're pretty. They stick to their guns. I mean, I think we expect it's probably Faye, and then you just go from there. But you got an argument the other way.
The only thing, and I don't know how it would possibly play out, would be like, okay, do we Johnny Holstaff it? Get Faye out there, get them 3, and then just piecemeal the rest to get these guys innings. So that way, can we bring Tyler in later on in the weekend, to follow up Miles if needed or something. I don't see that happening, but I guess it could be a possibility. I think we kind of know exactly how the script's going to fall. So.
Yeah. And again, I was thinking, you got a guy like JT who's gone 6 and 7 in midweek type games. You've got a Bobby Alcock who started weekend games for you before, we haven't really seen a whole lot of lately. You got guys like some of the guys you saw on the tail end of the Florida game last week that just hadn't had a lot of innings because everything's been so high leverage, and they've been kind of medium to low leverage, and you just had to to get them out there. You could get by on it. It's just this staff probably doesn't chance that sort of thing. Again, my concern is if you lose one of these, and I don't expect it would beat Alabama State, but if you lose Saturday night, assuming you win Friday night, and you've got to go Sunday morning, Sunday night, Monday day, I mean, what are you going to – how is that going to look, Roger?
We'll see a lot of guys, Jim Wells type stuff, guys that haven't seen any innings all year. Don't have to come out and give you 7 or 8. Bobby, I was looking, Bobby, I think he's got 8 innings all year.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, gosh, he was SEC pitcher of the week once last year.
First SEC weekend last year. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
JT and Bobby, and you're gonna have to get innings out of Austin Morris. You're gonna have to get innings out of a lot of guys. Steckmeiser. I mean, we know Matty and Crowell. I mean, and Crowther, they can go 3 or 4 if they need to. It just depends on if you needed them to close out a game earlier in the week, and if you lose them, but they would even be if not having been used early. If you got to a Monday and they hadn't pitched, you could just maybe use the 2 of those 5 and 4 innings, 4 and 4,
and just roll them.
Something like that. Roll with that. But hopefully we won't need any of the normal high leverage guys on Friday.
On Friday, yeah, that's a good point.
If you want to pitch Tyler 5 innings, he's not going to pitch the rest of the weekend more than anyway. So go ahead and go 8 or 9 if he can do it.
Yeah,
and save everybody.
Right, Drew. Is there some thought too to the fact that hey, all these other teams are in the same boat? I mean, you're looking at. I mean, really, Oklahoma State's the one you kind of got your eye on. They're probably not in a great position to go 4 and 5 games either.
Yeah, and it's going to be whoever wins that game 2 is going to be in the driver's seat. That's how it is in just about every regional. I mean, I feel like they could probably hit their way to maybe a Sunday night win and force a game 5. I'm not sure they could win a game 5 if we were playing them. There's a lot of what ifs that play in my head. What if we're up 10-0 after the bottom of the second, against Alabama State? I mean, then it's like, maybe you could throw back in guys and maybe save Faye. But I really think, you look at what JJ has done in these types of situations. He's going to go with that guy. You think about that Ruston Regional. I thought in 21, that elimination game, I thought if there's any chance to win that game, we did not need to pitch Dylan Smith in that game against Ryder. What do? We pitched Dylan Smith as my guy. We were going to get that win. And maybe we probably weren't going to win against host team anyway, and against unvaccinated North Carolina State that year, but they were on a heater. So, but you kind of got to look at the long game. But like we did when we won the Georgia Tech Regional in 2010, we didn't pitch Adam Morgan in game 3 in the losers bracket. Mitch Gaspard said, we got to win with Tucker Hawley and Jason Townsend. And that's what we did. So, obviously let's just go win 3 and get to next week. But when I look at regionals, there's a million thoughts that come into my head about what could happen and what we should do and all that. But I feel like they're going to go Faye and just let it ride with them.
If history is any indicator, I just pulled up 23. Yeah, I mean, Luke Holman went 6.
Holman,
that game was way closer than I think any of us wanted it to be. But
Jacob
Holman
Myers
went 6, and then and Jacob Myers was as dangerous as we thought he would. And then we had Cade Woods and Alton Davis come in, but I'm hoping that's not the case where we're not eking out,
not walking them off from this time like we did.
Yeah, I don't want to.
That was a really good team. That was back at the peak of Jacob Myers. So we absolutely had to throw Luke there. But I think, man, Alabama State and USC, these teams, these 3 and 4s, man, they're just not. I don't think they're very good. It's just, we gotta hit the ball against them. And
we were making the assumption that whole night that Jacob Myers was going to be the Friday night guy for LSU the next year.
Right.
As it turned out, Luke Holman was.
It took Jacob 2 years to get there.
He stayed there the next year, and then he was there last year and he had a lot of control issues. He pitched against us. I feel like in the game we won, he clocked 100 several times that year. I guess he's probably pitching in A ball right now somewhere. He had a heck of an arm.
Yeah. He was something else. Concerns over this, again, this Oklahoma State team in particular, the 137 homers again. They're playing a lot of kind of clown teams, and I don't know, and they got some guys who they can rip it. Meghan, does that maybe go into pitching decisions, knowing okay, today you're probably playing them Saturday night. Do you just roll Zane Adams out there on Saturday and Faye on Friday? and not worry about, well, it's 137 home runs. I've got to look at splits and that sort of thing, I'm assuming. But you expect we just go right in keep our regular rotation?
I really do. I mean, yeah, the numbers are there, that 137, but I haven't watched a lick of Oklahoma State to even have the beginning of an opinion on them. But I I just don't see JJ changing what he is doing, what he's been doing, what's been working, honestly, because it's like,
Sure.
we play in the SEC, we play good teams, so like that's not changing just because now it's Oklahoma State and they hit a lot of home runs. Um,
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing that I guess will come to that is that like that leash may need to be short, and
Sure.
that might be where that piecemealing bit needs to come in a little bit more if it is the equivalency of a road Fay game and it's Zane out there and he's getting absolutely lit up.
Right. Right. I'll go down the list. I mean, here's Oklahoma State's season, at least their weekends mostly. Uh, Early season, they played in one of these deals, probably out in Texas or something. They lost to Arkansas, they lost to Oklahoma. They got rocked by both of them. They later beat Oklahoma. They beat Vandy in that thing. They got swept by UCF. They won 2 out of 3 with Baylor. They lost 2 out of 3 to BYU. They swept Cincinnati, which is pretty impressive because that ended up being a pretty, they're 2 seed somewhere. Ended up being a top 20 RPI, I think. Lost 2 out of 3 to Kansas State. They lost 2 out of 3 to Kansas. They swept Texas Tech. They swept TCU, and they won 2 out of 3 the next 2 weeks versus the 2 Arizona schools. So they got, they had a pretty good run there at the end. Then Kansas beat them in the Big 12 tournament. Not a great pitching team, but again, it's been up and down all year for them, and some little bit of inexplicable midweek type games. I wrote it down. Let's see where it is. Yeah, they're 37-20 overall. They're 18-12 in the conference, 12-11 on the road, and 3-3 at neutral sites. So, really good hitting team. I don't expect a lot of pitching out of them. Yeah, to me, it's the team you've got to plan the whole weekend around, though. That Saturday night game to me is, while the Friday night's the big one, the Saturday night game is the biggest one because if you lose that one, you got to win 3 more, and that's going to be really difficult to do. So keep your eye on them. That's an interesting team, I think, to think about. First time hosting a regional since fourth year in a row in a regional. Pretty impressive, and I think we saw a statistic or a tweet somebody put out, and I couldn't find it after I saw it, of number of years in a row teams have made regionals. And of course now with LSU not making one and Vandy not making one, I think Florida is the longest, but we weren't too far down there, with 4. I mean, it's a pretty big deal. I mean, pretty big for this program to have done that 4 years in a row.
It really is. I mean, it's, first had a pretty long dry spell out there in the desert for between the early mid 2000s to 2023. So went a long time without hosting, and to get another host within 2 years, that speaks well of the way the program is going and the job that Rob is doing. And to get a national seed on top of that, that's first time since 2006. So
your memories of 2023. Let's talk about that a little bit. That was wow, just an incredible weekend. We talk about it all the time. Thoughts, Roger, on that, just some kind of key memories of that weekend.
Fun team, but that weekend was incredible. I mean, we had all the rain delays and all that. We had our crew. I mean, we're sitting in the home plate club for hours at a time, and they're trying to keep food on the serving plate, and just miserable, muggy, rainy, just humidity, and but just we had such a fun group, and those guys, a lot of them, they've been together, and the families were great. I mean, it was just and to be back in the Joe after 17 years was for regional was incredible. And I think that made it more, the length of time it had been made it even more special. I mean, obviously this will be special too, especially being a national seed, but we did it 2 years ago. Before it's like, I mean, we were young back when they played before. So
Yeah. Yeah. Those games, I mean, when I go back and I look at the schedule, I don't know if I could tell from this schedule exactly what time the game started. The Nichols game on our schedule says like the start time was supposedly 8:55, or it was going to be at 8:50. I think the other two ended up starting probably later than that, honestly.
it's like 10:30 or something.
Troy was on schedule but that was an 8 p.m. original start. So
Right.
the other one, there was a big rain delay right before we played Boston College. So I just
huge
remember,
downpour.
the only game I got to go to, I had tickets, but I come Friday afternoon, and then my buddy Patrick, who owns a Hoover restaurant, he kept bitching about how his daughter had a softball game in Athens the next day, so we just left, so he wouldn't have to get back too late. And I was like, I'll watch it at home. And then big rain delay, we just kind of, wife and I just turned it around and got home before the first pitch. Man, that Troy game was incredible. So much back and forth, very intense. Similar to that 2006 game, but with more runs and more home runs. And man, the Andrew Pinckney, and then Griff posted the calls of the E6 to give us the lead.
Yeah.
And there's a guy at my church who played at Troy a long time ago. He thinks the first baseman should have caught that ball. And when I watched it again, I was like, well, it wasn't a very good throw. He probably could have come off the bag and at least maybe
shot tag.
Yeah. So it kind of, he didn't look very good trying to catch the ball. I will say it was not a very good throw, but man,
we've been there.
But that the throwing away that took us from down one to up one, and then I think Pinckney tripled down the line next to bat, or Temez had a single. Man, what an incredible game that was. Great atmosphere. So
I think that whole weekend you had Janet leading the crowd with Cotton Eye Joe, and that was broadcast on TV, which I didn't think I'd ever see that happen, but they stuck with it. And kind of last really, I guess, great memory with Alton Davis before he left to go do his own thing. But the energy was high. I expect nothing less from the Rangers this weekend. They're going to be they'll be rocking. So it's good to get more June baseball or late May baseball at Tuscaloosa. So
Janet Seidel started doing the Cotton Eye Joe, or dancing to the Cotton Eye Joe in the portal and behind the home plate club seats
in
mid-season.
Sometime 2022.
She started in 2020. Just her and Jalen. She and Jalen mostly.
And Jalen,
I saw Jalen today.
And so I've got a video of or somewhere, from TV of two of them. They're doing it, just going to town. And then that night, that final game, the BC game, I guess, when we clinched, there had to have been 75 people down there.
It was great.
A cult following.
It was great, and it's kind of died down. It's died down again now.
Yeah,
Heather's trying to get it built back up a little bit, but
I'm trying to get these boxes downloaded, but I'm having a hard time. But the Nichols game started at 8:55. It lasted 2 hours and 30 minutes. So that game ended at 11:30ish. I'm pretty sure that night from these box scores that those others went a lot later, because I can remember getting home at 2:00 in the morning.
I was gonna say, didn't that one game
it was like 1:30 in the morning, and I lived 5 minutes away when I got home from the wrapping everything up at the very end.
It was something. Exhausting weekend. Hopefully we don't quite get into that this weekend, but advantage obviously of hosting. I mean, you go up and down the you go up and down through the country here, and you kind of see who's hosting, and you generally expect, I don't know what's the number of 16 regionals, over under 10.5. How many you think are won by the team that is the top seed?
11 sounds about right. Slightly
11.
over. That's kind of
a little bit over.
Well, I'd have to go see my picks. I sent my picks to John Schumbler, but I'd have to.
Yeah, I'm looking at the sort of the major overview. Arkansas is definitely going to give Kansas a run for their money. Ole Miss is not going to be an easy out for Nebraska. So there's definitely some of them that are.
There's some out there.
State is a 2 seed that I would not want to play again. for a weekend, and that's the Civil War against Oregon. So there's definitely a bunch of them. That I would.
Yeah, Roger, of 16. I mean, what do you think? You get 10 and a half. You think 10? You think 11? You think 12? Most years, there's 3 or 4 that don't make it out.
I'll say 12.
You think 12, Megan? You think it's a good year for the home teams, or more than? Or
looking through the bracket, I'm going with 11.
Okay, all right.
I think I've got under, Paul. I think you were asking me. I was speaking in a general term, but I think looking at the picks I sent to Chumbler, I think I've got them under. So we'll see. But I like to make crazy picks in some of these regionals. So
yeah. So UCLA, here we go. UCLA all year long been the top ranked team. I mean, and by RPI and whatever other measures. I mean, this is a good team. I mean, they're no joke. I mean, you don't want to play these dudes. Virginia Tech goes out there as the 2 seed, and then they got a couple West Coast teams. 0 chance they lose that, right? Pretty much. Morgantown, this one's interesting to me. Morgantown, West Virginia's been good in these deals. Our good friends at Binghamton go there, and then Kentucky goes there. Don't sleep on Kentucky with a couple of the pitchers they've got. But Wake Forest is there as a 2. That one to me kind of sticks out as one that could go bad for the home team, right? Hattiesburg, that's a good team. I mean, we've seen them. They're a good team. We don't like them, but they've got Virginia there as a 2 and Jack State as a 3. I could have flipped those teams, maybe, honestly. You feel like that one's a little danger zone?
I sure hope so.
I got Jack State.
Jack State wins. Yeah, I
Jack
can see Jack State
but
I
talked to Derek Simmons today, so I'm going to want Virginia to do well. He's at Virginia now.
At UVA. Okay. All right. So that one obviously. Gainesville, Florida's got Rider, Troy, and Miami. That's pretty tough. I mean, they handled Miami earlier in the year pretty well. That pitching though, you think someone's going to beat them twice in a weekend? And
not out of that group.
Yeah, I don't. I think they win it easily.
I'm like you. I don't see that happening. North Carolina gets VCU. They get Tennessee as a 2. They get ECU, East Carolina. Tennessee with Tegan Coons. They're going to throw him Saturday. So, I mean, Carolina's season to me is going to come down to, can you beat Coons on Saturday night? If Tennessee gets through their game to East Carolina, that's a tough one. I mean,
I could see that as one good. I could definitely see that as a Tennessee pushing Carolina to the brink, and East Carolina's played well. I mean, they've had some good seasons that they've kind of parlayed one into another. That's up there as one of the tougher regionals. Out of the top kind of 5, I'll say that the top 8 national seeds, they definitely got the toughest draw. I mean, that's just the accumulation of everybody else. They did not get any favors from the committee on that, so it's not a fun.
Tough for us to gauge the ACC teams, Roger, right? I mean, we just don't see enough of them.
Yeah. I mean, Georgia Tech's got a bunch of gaudy numbers, and they handled Georgia pretty well, but I mean, it's midway. I mean, you can't.
Yeah. You don't know who's throwing. Yeah.
And then about Florida State, we're more familiar because we're just matched up with them so often. And we had a couple of guys down there for a while, but
that's true. Yeah, we kept an eye on.
But you never know on them. I mean, they play. It's definitely a really good baseball conference. I mean, it's
Yeah, College Station, A&M. You got Lamar going through a coaching change. You got Texas State, who's a little dangerous team. Southern Cal, who's a really really good pitching team. Drew, who'd you pick there?
I've actually got USC coming out of there. I think UNC is going to win that first regional. I kind of feel like Tennessee's going to lose to ECU in that first game, and then throw Coons in that elimination games or something. I don't know that Tennessee's really that good. So
mistake in their part, maybe not saving Coons.
Probably, but you got to do what you got to do to. If you're in that spot, I kind of feel like you almost have to save your ace for the game 2, just to because you're trying to play the long game there. So you may as well. I mean, if we were a 2 seed somewhere, I'd just keep things the way they were and go Faye, Adams, Upchurch. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
A couple of these are real intriguing just based on the location. They're Nebraska and Kansas to me. First, Nebraska, they're the 13 seed. Ole Miss goes there. I mean, it's that team can pitch. We've seen a little bit of them. South Dakota State, Arizona State. I don't think they're a threat to anything. Can Ole Miss go into Nebraska and beat them a couple of times, you think, Megan?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't watched Nebraska, so I'm really just going off what I've seen of Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss will go in with something to prove, and as they like to say, don't let the Rebs get hot. So, like, I think if they can get the chance, like, they're going in with something to play for.
Yeah. Nebraska earlier in the year went down to Auburn and actually won, I think, the opening game of that series and then lost the next two. So that was a kind of showed they're at least competitive. Speaking of Auburn, the 4th seed, they get UCF, NC State, and Milwaukee. Bruce Pearl's former school, well known fact by a lot of folks, beat us in the NCAA tournament and launched him into the Tennessee job. Zero chance in hell of Auburn losing this regional, Roger.
Next to 0, yeah. I mean, 0 or close to 0.
I mean, Milwaukee needed a walk-off grand slam to win the auto bid in the Mountain Valley or NBC or whatever to make it there. They are. If Auburn loses that series or that weekend, they've got way more questions.
I'd be very happy to see that.
Absolutely, I'd be thrilled. But
let's do it for event or whatever the North Carolina State's coach's name is. Dude, something's going on.
I can hear you, Roger.
I can't hear Paul though. And I hear something. I hear some noise and somebody talking in the background. I see Paul's lips moving, or I did. Okay. All right, are we frozen?
I'm here.
I see Meghan shaking her head.
Is Paul frozen?
No, Paul's not frozen.
We can't hear him.
Good thing Christian can edit all this out in post. I mean, this is all.
Go in the background somewhere.
I don't know.
Paul, we don't have you at all. If you're saying anything.
Well, I will say I do think I have Auburn winning this regional, but I have them losing to Ole Miss at home in the Super Regional. I think Ole Miss is kind of built for postseason in a sense with those 3 pitchers, and then that's where that's kind of how I see things. And Ole Miss, the 2 times they've been to the College World Series, they won road regional and super regionals, at least the 2 times under Bianco. So I think they can win that one. And then I guess I'll just kind of continue. I don't know if Paul's going to come back or not, but I'll just if this is what we're talking about, I've got my picks open now. I mean, the next one, it's like, the Georgia Tech regional. I mean, I don't see them losing that. Do you see anybody challenging Georgia Tech?
No, not at all.
Who's in the original?
UIC, Oklahoma, and Citadel.
Yeah.
No, Oklahoma's one too.
Yeah, Georgia Tech could be to me that high-powered team that maybe doesn't make it to Omaha because they're matched up. Kansas. They're matched up with the Kansas regional. I kind of think Arkansas is going to go into Kansas and win that, but then and possibly beat Georgia Tech. But then I also, they lost. I know Hunter Dietz, their big ace pitcher, was hit with the line drive. They think he's okay, but it took a line drive in the SEC tournament off his foot. But I kind of think Arkansas is good, and they're going to win that regional at Kansas, and I think they're going to. It really wouldn't shock me if they went to Georgia Tech and won. What do you guys think about that?
I'd say Arkansas is capable of that.
Yeah, they're definitely capable. I don't know. I mean, DVH is definitely mad that they didn't win. or they didn't get a host spot out of it. So like I think that they're going to be having that to play with.
Yeah, the only other region I don't think we've touched on is that Austin Regional. I don't think that there's anything. UC Santa Barbara, Tarleton State, Holy Cross. I mean, Texas.
Yeah, that
being
should be an easy one.
very
But
surprised if something happened.
yeah, we thought that last year, and then Texas San Antonio beat them. So we'll see. Yeah, I was kind of going down. Our regional we've talked about. We can wait and give predictions if Paul ever.
Who's with FSU?
It's what Coastal Carolina, St. John's is the 4, and
NIU.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I think that's between Florida State and Coastal Carolina. I'd love to see St. John's pull off an upset, but
we will all be saying Sean's up for sure. Love to have
Coastal
play well.
I think I'll be pulling for St. John's or
yeah. Is our boy Evan Chaffee still at St. John's? Do we know? Is he going to start on Friday or something like that? Evan Chaffee, who was here, what, in 23?
Yeah.
24?
23, I think.
23, yeah.
He's on the roster. Let's see if he's a preseason all.
He seems like he had a pretty good year.
I thought you may have sent out some of his stats before.
Chaffee, he started 50. He's one of their looks like he's their second best weekend starter. 15 games started, 6-4 with 4.60 ERA, 74 strikeouts, and 76 innings. So I think he's from up that way. I know. I think when he was here, he was just needed a lot to develop, and Roger would have seen him a lot more than we all did. Meghan, I'm not sure if you were still here at that point or not.
He was
that was last season.
Player too. Let's see. You think should we shut down and come back in?
I don't know if we should. I don't know if that's the best idea because then we might lose our entire recording and then
make Christian have to splice some videos together.
Yeah. I think the audio wouldn't be that hard to edit, but the videos might be a little challenging. But yeah, all right. What else have we got in the regionals?
We got Eugene, Oregon State, Oregon State, Washington State, and Yale. That's a toss up between, for me, Oregon State and Oregon.
Yeah.
I mean, Oregon State's the lone independent in the country that's made a regional, but I mean they played well against us, at least in Frisco. I know they went on. They've been a bit up and down. I know for a while they played. They were playing USC, UCLA in a couple of weekends, and is Paul back with us?
Christian on his nameplate, but he's just looking at us like
there's Paul.
Picture anyway.
Yeah, he's moving.
Yeah, he was moving before. I don't know if he can't hear us or.
Can you hear us, Paul?
And if he can hear us.
I don't know if he can see us.
Seems like we are.
It says Paul Brown now again.
Yeah.
You're doing something.
Let's see.
Hopefully we're still recording.
We're still recording.
Yeah. I know we had pretty much moved into, we had talked, we could talk all night about Alabama, but yeah, you got
State, Lipscomb, Cincinnati, and
I would imagine
Louisiana.
I imagine State will come out of theirs, but Louisiana's playing well right now.
Yeah, Cincinnati's pretty tough, I think.
Yeah,
that'll be a fun regional.
I think we're back.
Hey,
right here, Paul.
No idea what happened there. I thought we had lost.
Well, we just kept going down the regional list.
Good.
I think now we're at the Georgia one, and Georgia, I think, is the team that's probably going to win the World Series. But they're really. I mentioned Georgia Tech as the high seeded team who I thought might lose before the College World Series because they could be matched up with Arkansas at home. I don't know what all your thoughts are on some of those.
Yeah. I mean, the ones I guess the ones I missed. I don't know if is that the last one for you.
We're kind of on Georgia, but I can't remember when he got kicked off. So
yeah, it kicked me out when we were kind of talking about Auburn after that. But yeah, I don't see any way Georgia loses that. Cincinnati, I think, gives Mississippi State a tough run. I mean, that's a good team, but I think State comes out of there. That Oregon one is intriguing because you have that Civil War. You got Washington State over there, who we played earlier in the year. No idea what Yale does, but I mean, Yale's basically on display for someone like Texas A&M to steal their guys next year. But
if they played as well as they did at Auburn, last year, 2 years ago, then
it's usually Pennsylvania, but I guess Yale got
That's
it.
right. That's right. Austin, I mean, Texas is living well, but I know Santa Barbara's got an arm out there that's probably, a top 5 draft pick that they're probably going to have to face, but they'll get through it. Obviously, we know what we feel like here. That Kansas one's interesting to me, but I think Arkansas going there is, I don't know if y'all talked about that one or not, but I mean, that one to me is just because it's become kind of a cool home environment for those guys at Kansas. They're adding some more capacity. A lot of teams are doing that. You saw Auburn's doing that with some more seats. I mean, we don't have to. We got plenty of room out there for the students and all. But I mean, going up and down those, I think Arkansas still wins there. I'd love to see Coastal come out of Florida State. I have no idea if they can pull that off. And you think Fluky's is he ready? Is he good?
I'd rather see St. John's or NIU than see Coastal, personally. But
Coastal is not the same team that almost won a World Series last year by any means. Their hitting's not as strong as it was last year. Pitching wise, I think Fluky's getting there. I don't know if he's enough to carry it. I don't think the Friday night guy can really do it on their own enough to piece it together.
Interesting thing you point out there, though, because Coastal's not what they were last year, but you've seen that this past week. I think 4 of the 8 who went to Omaha last year didn't even make the postseason.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Which again kind of goes back. You look at our consistency. Which you get into regionals 4 regionals in a row. It's tough to do that this day and age. It's and some of that maybe goes back to the calendar. We're seeing a dozen guys a day or 100 dozen tweet out there in the portal. The teams that have got to play deep into June really don't have a lot of time to be dealing with that sort of thing, and then they lose guys to the draft, or lose their underclassmen to one place or another, and they're just kind of left out there hanging because you've got to make such a hard run for them.
Yeah.
If you've got a shot at it, you kind of go for broke, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and that's a good point about that because they're not. It's like Coach Saban always said about the playoff game and the championship game being so late. He's missing out on 3 weeks worth of recruiting.
Yeah,
So the players normally want to go to those schools, but there's so many in the portal. It's like if you got an offer, if you don't take it, it might not be there tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm assuming this would be a time that Rob leans on JJ and Coach Mo and let them deal with any sort of preliminary contacts or whatever. Rob's got enough on his plate to begin with. Certainly, there's if there's a guy that jumps out that is a must get, then sure. But I think Rob's just so focused on this weekend and moving forward next week.
That's a good point. I mean, how do we, Roger? You might know a little more about that background. I mean, how is that kind of working right now? Like, a guy that declares today that maybe we tried to recruit a couple of years ago.
The number one, I know that the portal doesn't actually open until June 1st.
Yeah.
There's some back channel stuff from different people with agents. I mean, I'll say what they are. They're not advisors or agents. So, and I know, from talking with our guys, they're not going to talk to anybody until they're official.
Yeah.
And they're not going to talk to anybody that's not gone in the portal, or if anybody's committed somewhere, they're not going to talk to them unless or until they can decommit from wherever they are.
Sure.
So they're a little, probably follow that type thinking a lot more than a lot of programs do.
Yeah.
So, you're just gathering information. You're looking at people. That's Mo's category for them. I'm sure obviously all of them look, we'll go see guys, but that's Mike's the main job.
He's the main guy. Yeah.
Is basically roster configuration, I guess you'd say. And it obviously he's got to be, Rob's got to sign off on stuff, but that's what Mo's main job is doing that. So
we saw
JJ probably look at the pitchers a little bit more, but Mike's a pitching guy too. So they compare notes there, I'm sure. So
we saw, I guess it was a week or two ago. There was that ad out there Vanderbilt had put out. They're trying to hire somebody to be. I mean, it was almost like a GM, but it was a baseball program, right? And it's kind of interesting when you think about it because it's just like in the big leagues. I mean, you got GM of your or the NFL. I mean, the GMs kind of run the draft. I mean, the coach has some input. Obviously, the GM knows the kind of money they got around and the money they've got available at different slots and where their players come from. I mean, Drew, do you see? I mean, do you see that as a kind of a wave of the future? I mean, can teams afford? Can many teams afford?
I don't think too many teams can afford it. I mean, I think we just kind of. But you got to think about it. 3 years ago, college baseball only had 2 full-time assistants, and you had. So I think now it's kind of like you're in a better spot with the ability to recognize talent. You probably got maybe some GAs or ops guys might be kind of in that role as well, probably.
Yeah.
So I think it seems like we have enough. I mean, you can always have more, but it seems like we probably have guys who know what they're doing, and I hope they'll be trying to manage that while we're making a men's college World Series run.
Well, we have guys that are in analytics.
Yeah,
both student wise and professional wise that guy that helps just with pitching, Kaysen, and then Ty and some of those young guys that are students that Brothers one that does analytics, as a student, and then some of so they have a large staff of people too. Nothing like Coach Saban's group, but through data and do it. That thing from Vanderbilt, I sent it to a coach friend of mine that's might be trying to look for something different. And I sent him that Vanderbilt thing just because I thought it might be interesting. And he told me that he sent in an application, and coach told him that they're pretty sure they're hiring a pro guy for that.
Really?
Wow. Why did you even advertise the job? Corbin was like, I mean, they're a private school. They don't have to advertise.
They don't have to.
I mean, they don't have to do anything. So, so it was kind of a waste of his time to do it, but it was worth a shot because I'm sure they're going to pay well, and it's a premier program, so it'd be a good spot for a young guy to be.
Yeah. Back to our regional, just because before we get a couple things before we wrap up. Everybody, give me a hitter who we're going to be talking about Monday night or Sunday night if everything goes well. Tell me Griffin, whose bat is going to carry the weekend for Alabama if we get through the weekend?
I'd like to think that Justin LeBron's finally going to he'll have the weekend that we thought he would have hopefully have had all season. I think he's going to come around.
Meghan, who you got?
I think probably Brady.
Brady, yeah, Brady, who's been a little cold. I mean, not the batting average and the power numbers. He did hit a ball pretty well over to Hoover of the day, so he's not been as productive. Yeah, Roger, who you got?
My first thought was Brian, but just to kind of go off the beaten path, well, it'd be easy to say Bryce as well. Bryce,
Here's your 3.
I'll go Big Poppy. Jason Torres is going to have a big weekend.
I hope so. Drew, who do you think
I
comes
feel
out.
like when we face Oklahoma State, I think their top two pitchers, including one with a ton of strikeouts, are both big lefties.
Mhm.
So a guy who I feel like has made some hard contact lately, Luke Vaughn. I think he's
Luke,
going to
yeah,
hit a big
let's see.
3-run homer for us on Saturday. You think about the Florida game. I mean,
He crushed the ball.
yeah, that went like
Yeah.
403. That's Bryce leads off the
Dead
game with
center.
the ball that should have been a homer and probably is a homer in every other ballpark. And then Luke Vaughn hits the one to dead center.
Mhm.
Like the guy is in the warning track when he catches it. It's 405 to dead center. So I feel like he's I can't remember how many strikeouts he had, but it feels like he's been
Mhm.
getting the ball more in play, finding some holes, playing a little better first base. I kind of think he's kind of the low key like maybe the guy you're not thinking of, under the
Kind
radar
of swing
guy
guy.
who
Yeah.
could
Mhm.
do something big this weekend.
Yeah, I was thinking the same because with his lefties and your righties. I mean, Luke's done some damage. Maybe it's a guy like a Peyton Steele, and I mean, again, we're not talking about going 5 for 8. We're talking get me a couple of big hits, drive me bang one off the wall, or not put one off the scoreboard, that type of thing. I think you need it out of your righties with those lefties out there. The Alabama State game, hopefully we get a bunch of guys well that game. I'd like to see I'd like to see good hard contact one way or the other. If we score 6 runs, we scored 13. Hopefully that kind of zones in. Because you think about it, I mean, this team since the Sunday, or I guess the Saturday of the Ole Miss series, I mean, that's going to have been 2 weeks ago almost on Friday, and you'll have one game since then. So you ought to be pretty rested. You hadn't had a lot of hard travel. I mean, you went to Hoover and back. You've been sleeping in your own bed all this time. Um,
No school, no school.
no school. I mean, the nagging injuries ought to be about done. Like you said, no school. I mean, it's just all ball. You ought to be pretty well focused. That's why I tend to think it's maybe one of those swing guys, like a guy like a JT, like a Vaughn, like a Payne Steele or somebody like that just has not been overly productive all year. Pitching wise, Drew, you're kind of pick the click here. Who's a key for us this weekend that maybe we're not thinking of? Starter or
Oh,
bullpen?
I really think Miles Upchurch is going to have a big game as the game that he starts. Hopefully, it's against Oklahoma State and not against one of the other two teams.
Mhm.
Bullpen, man. Hopefully, we're not having to use the guys.
Mhm.
I don't know if it's kind of hard to have a pick to click because these guys haven't really most of these guys haven't really shown the uh, ability to
Yeah.
pick to click. What I wonder is where's Hagen Banks because he didn't pitch against Ole Miss or against
Mhm.
Florida when there were ample opportunities to get him at least some work here and there. We
Mhm.
pulled him in the South Carolina game on that Sunday. He pitched Sunday he
Yeah.
pitched the day before. Wasn't terribly effective, but
Mhm.
uh, you know,
I I
hopefully
guess
he's available.
I
Roger.
guess because the 2 games we won in the Ole Miss series, you went with Heiberger and you went with Crowther, and they just carried you through the rest of the way. I mean, maybe that's all there is to it. And then you weren't going to throw him out there in that Hoover game. I mean, Roger, any thoughts on that? Or any
I
reason to
mean,
concern there?
I don't think so. I mean, you think about it, he's only thrown 19 innings all year.
Yeah.
So it's not like, he's not being called on like Osmer was for sure.
Yeah.
So, and Maddie and Crowther both have over 30, up in the mid 30s
Mhm.
innings wise. So they've been the more, go longer.
Longer. Yeah.
And Hagen's basically been a 1 inning guy, 2 innings that, or part of 2 innings before. Um, but I think he's fine. It's just the right situation
Just
to use him in, and I'm sure they analytics, they get matchups and and all that stuff like this. They got a bunch of guys that hit 90-mile-an-hour right
Mhm.
from the fastballs, and they
Mhm.
won't hit 92 from the left side or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess one to click. I mean, we think those six they click all the time. Basically all
Sure.
the time. So I would say JT Blackwood's kind of the wild card.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
there could be a point where he needs to start a game. He may need to come in and go 3 or 4 innings.
Mhm.
We don't know if he's okay.
Yeah.
So
We just didn't see him. We didn't see him in 3 weeks. Right. Right. Um,
one, as long as he's available, that would be who I would think.
Okay.
That's not one of the 6 guys that we talk about all the time.
Okay. Yeah. Meghan, how about you? Your thought on who's your pitcher of the weekend if we're heading to a super on Monday?
Well, we were saying one to click. I was gonna say Hagan, but like pitcher of the
Mhm.
weekend, I think it's gonna be Maddie. I
Mhm.
think you were gonna see him come in probably 2 games and be able just to kind of close everything out and send us home.
Mhm. Yeah. Griff, your thought?
Yeah, it's about this. We're all circling the same folks. I was thinking Matty Ice. If a guy we need to lean on that we haven't seen, I'd like
Mhm.
to see Ammo continue to Austin Morris, Hunter Johnson for those that
Don't know nicknames.
yeah, keep throwing him and Sam Mitchell's thrown well. He's had almost I think 30 innings this year.
Been in there a lot.
But yeah, we expect good stuff out of the top 6, and whether it's a combination of Crowther, Heiberger, Ammo, those guys
Yeah.
carries through the weekend.
Mine probably is Zane Adams because it looks. I mean, to me, we're probably going to go Faye Adams, Upchurch, and that means that Saturday night game is going to be Zane Adams. Maybe penultimate start at the Joe. Honestly, if you think about it that way, it's you need good deep starts from these guys.
Just like every weekend.
We always get it. I mean, it's going to be a typical weekend. Walk me through, Drew. How do you see this regional shaking out? Give me game by game.
We'll go. Oklahoma State will beat USC Upstate by double digits.
All right.
We'll do the same to Alabama State. We'll say Upstate eliminates Alabama State. I think we pull it out Saturday night. I think we pull out a close one, and then we see Oklahoma State again on Sunday night, and we win that 9-4 or something like that.
Yeah,
I was really nervous. Yeah, I was nervous about Oklahoma State. The more I kind of look at it, even though they have a lot of big numbers, I kind of feel like kind of have a better feel of that. It's just gut feel at this point anyway.
Yeah, Griff, is this a 3-game weekend for Alabama, or we go 5 and have to beat Oklahoma State twice in 3 tries?
3-game weekend for us. Take care of business against Alabama State. Take care of business against Oklahoma State. And then just to be different, I think that South Carolina Upstate will find a way to cause some drama. Oklahoma State's pitching, I think, just can carry a team so far. They've been a bit of a weakness, and cause some chaos, and we can sit pretty and beat a different team. So 3 different teams, 3 different wins, but we host next weekend, and we're back here talking postseason.
All right, the queen of all gumps, Meghan Dennis, probably has us going straight through with 3 here. What your thoughts on it?
Well, that's it, Paul. Like, we're gonna go in, get it done, wrap it up, and get ready for a super for next weekend.
Yeah. Roger, concern about potentially having to beat Oklahoma State Saturday night, again Sunday night, and then even maybe going into Monday.
If we do it that way, we would only have to play 4 games. But
that's true.
If we do it in that area, so I'd feel better about that. I mean, there's a concern anytime you play a team that's got 140 home runs. I mean, that you're going to get into a shootout and not be able to keep up. Hopefully, they strike out a lot of guys.
A lot, yeah.
ERA, but it means they give up a lot of. I don't believe they walked a ton. It's more they give up hits than anything. So we don't exactly tear the cover off the ball regularly. No. So we do a lot better when we get a lot of free bases.
Yes,
we've had a lot of games recently where we've walked 1 and 2 times instead of the games where we walk 8 to 15 times. We've done really well.
Yeah.
Which I guess anybody would if you get that many free bases, I guess. I mean,
sure.
We need to get 6 to 8 walks and 8, because 7 to 9 hits is an explosion for us in a game.
I do think if we face Oklahoma State on Saturday, my guess is we're going to face Lund. I think Ethan Lund is his name. He's about a 6'6" lefty. He's got 127 strikeouts in 75 innings. That's pretty scary for our offense based on what we've seen. but he hasn't really been as good on the road as he has been at home. So he does have like a 5-something ERA. I don't know if he's a Dylan Valantis type who probably is 91, 92, or if he's firing 97, 98, but got to make sure get him to throw a lot of pitches and then get him out of the game kind of early. They got another guy who started 15 games who has like a 15 or so ERA, and then a guy named I think his name's Hudson Barrett, who Mark Ethers was mentioned. He was their Friday guy, so he doesn't know exactly what they're going to do against Upstate.
6-1 with a decent ERA,
like 3-something ERA. So I think I would imagine. I bet he goes Friday to start. And then I bet we get Lund on Saturday.
All right, Mario. I think Pesca is if I'm saying it right. Pesca is the other guy. To your point, from a strikeouts to walk ratio, Oklahoma State's pitching staff has struck out 558. They've walked 275. We have struck out 476, walked 195. So we've walked 80 fewer guys. We've struck out about 80 fewer guys. But just to give you an idea, I mean, our pitching staff pretty well, relatively speaking. They're striking out a hell of a lot more guys. They're walking a hell of a lot more guys. To the tune of about almost 2 a game than we are.
According to the stats on D1 baseball, they are the worst pitching staff of any in our regional as far as issuing walks.
Okay.
Over 200th in the nation, and we're way below that. So they give a lot of free bases, so we have to make them pay if we face them. So
yeah, absolutely. It shapes up to be, again, we keep talking about Oklahoma State as though it's etched in stone. Who knows what Upstate can do? Hopefully folks get out there and maybe we can get the Ragers out on Friday afternoon and pull Upstate through and be a lot better to have a state with one loss and help us through that weekend. Final thoughts heading into regional weekend, Drew. Any thoughts on that we have covered?
I basically think if we just play clean in the field, then we have a chance to win. And if we don't, then we won't. The one thing I'll say about the Florida game is, we're down 2-0 and then we misplay a couple balls in right field. And if we make the first play, we're down 2-0 heading into this bottom, and Faye probably goes 7 innings and we start to score a couple runs. So I think we had 4 bad misplays in that game. Only one was scored in error. Torres bobbled, and I'm not sure he had thrown the guy at first, but we just gotta, and we left some guys on base too in key spots. So just can't do either of those things and expect to get out of here with a regional win.
Yeah. Griff cleaning it up down the stretch was key in that whole run. The 8 or 9 we won the SEC. I mean, it's your thoughts. You feel like all that's behind us, and it's a defense helps carry the day.
Probably the motto of this team is play well at home and good things will happen, and that's what they've certainly done all season. So keep on keeping on. If you have an opportunity to go enjoy it, there's not nearly enough home college baseball for Alabama.
No.
So getting as many games as we get for the rest of the season, at least at home, it should be a raucous atmosphere.
Yeah. Meghan, 5 wins. You go win 5 in a row. You're going to Omaha. Your thoughts on this? What's it going to take?
Timely hitting, no defensive miscues. They've shown us they can do it, so let's go get 5.
Yep. Roger, thoughts on you keys the weekend, or you feel good about it? You feel a little apprehensive? I'm always apprehensive.
I feel pretty good. Just play clean, continue to play or play better defense. Being at home, I think it's going to be huge. I mean, more comfortable, just know the park, all that kind of stuff. Just have to put the bat on the ball. Don't strike out looking and or swinging, but really particularly looking. I mean, go down aggressively.
Yeah.
If you're going down, and it sounds, with Oklahoma State, they're going to strike guys out. I mean, it's a ton of strikeouts.
Yeah, face it.
I mean, that's what, that's a lot per game. 10 per game, that's somewhere in that area.
558. So that's about 10 per game. Yeah.
Against the teams that, you're supposed to beat. Come out with fire and keep it up. we have tended to sleepwalk at times.
Yes, like in Hoover.
Yeah.
Chance of bouncing back after a really bad performance has been good. And they got new bats today. They're excited. They're jumping around. They're got a lot of energy, a lot of enthusiasm. They seem excited, working hard, but having fun. So it just needs to carry over to the playing field.
Yeah.
Don't be tight. Just go out there loose and play ball.
Yeah. Big key to me, big crowd. You need big crowds. I think folks will respond. Rob's pretty much pleaded to the people to get out there. There's probably enough students back maybe for summer school or getting back for summer school. The holiday weekend was last weekend, so at least you got that out of the way. The Joe holds 6,500, 7,000 maybe, and then you add on the kids, the guys in right field maybe. But by the time you get them out there, you got 7 or 8.
That too, Paul. I've been told that our actual seats are like 4,800, and then it's 1,500. 1,500 is what they've been maxing the right field.
Yeah,
but I have a feeling they may put more in there, and then theoretically we could put more inside on the patio up there.
Yeah,
it's not a really great place to watch from.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, Dick, we could go 6,500.
Yeah. 6,000 or 7,000 would be big for these nights. Yeah, the games. So the way the games lay out, just so folks know, and I tweeted this out for somebody. They'll play a 1:00 game on Friday. That's going to be the upstate OSU game. They empty the stadium. Every ticket you get is for one game, basically. So they empty the stadium out. They get back in. You go back in an hour before the next game ends. So there's a 1:00 game and a 6:00 game, and then on Saturday, the losers play at 1:00. The winners play at 6:00. On Sunday, the remaining 2 loser bracket teams play at 2, and the winners play at 7. And then Monday is kind of TBA. I think TV probably determines it with depending on how many teams are going over into Monday. So again, you got 1, 2, 3, a 7-game weekend. If it shakes out that long, hopefully it's only 6, and we're playing 3 of them. And then we're talking about next weekend and maybe Florida State, maybe who knows, going into that next weekend. Folks, it was fun. Again, hopefully this recorded. I could see it stay recorded. Technical issue on my end. I don't know why Zoom kind of kicked me out there. I don't know if it's an internet issue or what, but I think everybody probably carried it pretty well. After that, we got all pros here. Drew is a podcast veteran, obviously. From his days with the great Mark Jennings. Folks, it was fun. We'll do this next week, one way or the other, hopefully previewing a super, and the first time we've hosted a super since when?
2006?
06?
06.
Yeah, first super since 06, if we can get through this weekend. So that'd be great, and we look forward to it. Thanks to Roger Myers, to Drew Champlin, to Griffin Smith, to Meghan Dennis. Hope to see. I know I'll see 3 of y'all over the weekend. Griff, we'd love to have you there. Sorry you can't make it ever. Yep. Understand life calls. But we will all see you all there at the Joe this weekend, hopefully. And we will see you on the next Weekly Joe podcast. Hopefully next week, previewing a super regional. Peter Slight takes us away with our theme, the Joe. Thanks again, everybody.
Swing it, boys, swing for the fence. Shove it, boys, make 'em miss. Some big league chew in a baseball souvenir. Come on, sing with me now. The Joe is home, sweet home. It's roll, tide, roll. The Joe is home, that's right. Home, sweet home. Hey, look, is that Roll Tide Willie over there? Well, it's Bama